Guys? Right back to make this prize picks video. I just posted the DraftKings and FanDuel video, if you want to check that out. But this one, we're looking at prize picks for this 2-game slate. Let's go ahead and get started. So we'll go ahead and look at the points board. We got a couple that I like here. We have, starting with Butler at 23.5. He's been aggressive at a couple of times in the series. Not having Lowry will help him today be a little bit more aggressive. I don't mind taking the over on Butler, but it's not one of my favorites. Harden at 23.5. He hasn't hit that any game in Toronto, but there's no Embiid today. So we're going to expect a much more aggressive James Harden. It's just a matter of the game staying close, and we know Miami Heat has opportunities to shut down teams offensively like they did against Trae Young throughout that series. So I don't have great confidence in Harden. I'll probably go a little bit cheaper for a guy that I like, but Bam should be able to hit this. I don't mind taking his fantasy score instead at 17.5, going up against Paul Reed now instead of going up against Embiid. 16.5 for Tobias Harris looks like a pretty good number. He's going to be playing like 40 plus minutes today if the game is within like 10 or 15 points at the end. And I probably like his number more than James Harden at 23.5. Maxey at 21.5, also cheap. I think he looks solid. His fantasy score is like 34.5, and we've seen him put up big fantasy scores as well when he's contributing in other aspects, which he probably has to do today without having their best player. Never touch PJ Tucker's points over. It's just something I don't want to sweat. Danny Green, 8.5. He's going to get a lot more playing time today. He's already been playing heavy minutes without Thibault when they were in Toronto, and he's been starting in place of Thibault just because Thibault can't score the ball offensively. So 8.5 is a pretty good number for Danny Green. Let me get to a couple of the guys in the next game with Luka at 28.5. It's always a spot where he's probably going to put up 30 in a couple of games in the series. Starting off in Phoenix, not one that he can't do it, but I like him when he's at home to probably feel a little bit more confident in that. But I would definitely take the over on Luka if you were leaning one way or the other. Chris Paul, 15.5 points. We saw him put up 14 of 14 field goals last game. Was super aggressive and for good reason. With Devin Booker maybe not 100%, this one you can also get behind taking the over. Finney Smith, 11.5. He played well over 40 minutes last game. Now, he's fine if you want to take a shot with him, but I just never really have great confidence in those types of players. Other guys that look appealing would be the one that I feel great about is taking the over on Jalen Brunson. 18.5. He's been very aggressive for the team, and it started when the first couple of games since they were without Luka, and that confidence has carried over into the end of the series, and now they're going up against Phoenix where they play a lot of guard lineups, so Brunson should be out there once again like he was throughout that Utah series, playing heavy minutes over 35 to 38. Moving over to the assist board, we have a couple that look pretty appealing. Harden at 9.5. That he's been hitting that in Toronto, in that Toronto series, and at least a couple of games, but he's not going to have Embiid to get those easy assists too, so I kind of shy away from that, at least for this first game, and see how it kind of fares. But when you have Harden and Chris Paul at the same exact number, Chris Paul has a way better matchup. He's hit this more than Harden throughout the playoffs. He didn't hit it last game, but that was because he just couldn't miss from the floor and just kept taking shots. But 9.5 assists for Chris Paul looks like easy money on the prize picks board. On the rebounding board, we have Harden at 7 rebounds. He's going to have to crash the glass more this series, but I'm going to go with a guy that's only 0.5 more than that and has been crashing the glass throughout the postseason, and that's been Tobias Harris. He's averaging about 10 plus rebounds throughout that Toronto series. He had 11, 11, 12, and 10, and he had one with 7. So he's been well over that number. In the one game that he missed, he was right at that number. Not having Embiid, playing against a bigger Miami team, it's going to be a spot where Tobias, the fact that he's playing 40 minutes a night, he's going to have to get you a lot of rebounds, and will get the team a lot of rebounds. So these are 3 that I feel very good about at different boards. Other options that we can look to, maybe taking like the over on like Luka at 9 rebounds. We know sometimes he can get you like a ton of rebounds. If it was like 8.5, I'd feel better, but probably worst case, it might be like a push, or it might get you just miss that by 1 rebound or so. And then looking at the fantasy scoreboard, there's a couple that look appealing. Like if you're not taking Tobias's rebounds, I like his fantasy score. I like Maxey's fantasy score at 34. He's going to have to be more aggressive offensively, look for a shot more. He had great games the first couple of games in against that Toronto series, put up like 51 and had another game with high 40s. Other options here would be maybe taking the over on Danny Green. Luka, 52, it's a solid number. He's been aggressive. He's been right at this number in the 3 games that he played against Utah. And now it's a little bit easier matchup. I know Phoenix is good defensively as well. But maybe these games will be higher scoring than those Utah games, which were pretty slow for, at least some of them were pretty low scoring, especially the most recent one. Other ones that we can maybe look to, like Crowder's been hitting this last 5 games throughout that Pelicans series. But Devin Booker didn't play in most of those games. That might hurt a little bit. And that's kind of it for the board. See what the 3 points made look like, if there's anybody that we can look to. Brunson, 1.5. That's one that he can hit. Reggie Bullock also, he hit this. Didn't hit it last game, but he hit that all previous games. He's taken like 6+ threes in every single game that he's been starting. Luka, 3.5 threes. Pretty big number. You're going to need at least 4 to feel good. And not that he can't do it. Definitely can, but not one they feel great about. And then the Sixers threes, don't know how, like, depends on how much Miami lets them shoot from the outside. Like, I don't have great confidence that Harden can get me 3 threes, or Maxey, or even Danny Green. Green would probably be the safest, just because that's kind of the only shot he does take, whereas Harden can drive a little bit. Maxey can drive to the basket. But I got 4 that I feel good about today. That's I'm sticking with. Brunson over 18.5, Chris Paul over 9.5 assists, Tobias 7.5 rebounds, Maxey 34 fantasy. Once they put some of these other pieces from the Heat players, like once they have Strus out here, once they have Vincent, we can maybe add another one. See what Bam's fantasy score number is. Yeah, they don't have Bam's fantasy score output, but 31.5 points, rebounds, assists might be a decent one. If his fantasy score is below like 35, 36, it can be jump on the over when that gets posted as well. But that's about it for the video. Best of luck if you're playing the Prize Picks today, and I'll see you all next time.